Today in our space, imagine finding out your wife is cheating because your buddy matches with her on a dating app. Not a rumor, not a suspicion, a full HD swipe right confirmation. Yeah, from there, it only gets messier. My coworker caught my wife of 9 years on a dating app. I made a fake profile, showed up to a date, and had her served with papers. If you put your everything into a relationship with someone, you'll expect them to put their everything into the relationship as well. The sad thing is that if you've lived in this world long enough, you'll realize that that isn't true, even in the slightest. You can do everything possible for a person, and at the end of the day, they're going to F you over at the first opportunity that they get. That's exactly what my wife did to me. I've been married to this woman for nearly a decade. We've been married for 9 years, and despite that, she didn't feel any need to be loyal. I have worked at the construction company for the last 12 years of my life, and in that time, a lot of coworkers there have basically turned into my family. I have always wanted to work at the kind of company where everyone is close-knit, and I was lucky to find that. I'm thankful for that because it is one of the people in that company, one of my coworkers who I consider to be a brother, who ended up letting me know that my wife was cheating on me. He found out through pure luck, and he could have avoided the difficult conversation, but he didn't. He knew that it wouldn't be right not to tell me, so he did. This guy, Ricky, has been single for the longest time. He doesn't have the best luck with women, and for a very long time, he had no intention whatsoever to jump back into the dating pool. However, he started to take his looks very seriously recently, and at that point, he realized that it might be worth to try again. Women can be headaches at times, we told him, but if you get the right person, it can be so rewarding. Because of that, this guy is on every single dating app in existence. I never thought that was going to have any kind of impact on my life beyond being happy that he might eventually find someone for him on one of those apps. He came up to me one day at work and said that I'd love it if I could help him with something at the close of the day. He said it pretty casually, and I had no issue whatsoever with doing a favor for the guy, so it was fine. Once we had closed from work, he came to me and asked if I was ready to help him out with the thing that he had asked me before. So I nodded, and he took me to a quieter part of the premises. Then, once we were alone, his face got serious and he told me that he didn't have anything that he needed help with. He said he had something that he wanted to show me, and it was really important. I was worried with how serious he had become, but I told him to let me see. He probably knew that I was more worried about him than myself, so at that point, he pointed out that it had nothing to do with him and more to do with me. He said it had to do with Jennifer, my wife. The instant he said that, I was on edge. I already knew that whatever it was couldn't be good. It wasn't an emergency because it had waited until the end of the day. From how serious he was with it, there was only one thing which came to my mind, and that was that he somehow had proved that she had been unfaithful to me. The strange thing is that I didn't even think of the fact that he was the guy on all the dating apps. It only occurred to me when he held his phone out and showed me a screenshot from a dating app. It wasn't even a mistake. It was so clearly her. She didn't even use a fake name, which made it even worse. We're older people in our early 40s, so most of the people in our crowd are married or don't have any particular need for dating apps. That might have been why she was so confident in just being there. No discretion at all. She couldn't even try to wear a wig or use a fake name. It infuriated me. He told me that he had battled on whether to tell me or not, but ultimately decided that he had to because he would want someone to tell him if it was him. I had to sit down. I thought that I'd be able to take it on the chin, but it was a lot. When you've built a life with someone, you get to a point where you truly feel that you know them, flaws and all. It felt like I knew Jennifer as well as any husband can know their wife, but Ricky's revelation was like a reality check to me. I realized that likely I didn't know her half as much as I thought I did. I thanked Ricky for helping me out. He seemed so apologetic. He said that he thought he was making the right decision before, but he wasn't sure anymore. I assured him that it had been the right choice and everything was going to be fine. I don't blame him one bit. I'm never going to blame someone for doing what is the objective right thing, no matter how it makes me feel. I'm also not going to be the kind of guy who'd be fine with staying ignorant of a cheating wife. When I got back home that evening, she could tell that I wasn't myself. I lied that it was just some nonsense at work that I didn't want to talk about. I remember looking at her and realizing that I could never truly see her the same. It was incredible how normal she was acting. She was doing her normal routines, joking around with me, sitting down the same way. Everything was the same person. But underneath the surface, she was someone who had chosen not to be loyal to me any longer. And it did occur to me that it might not have been her account on Tinder. I recognized that it was entirely possible that someone had just found her pictures and made a profile for her. But the person used her name. The details in the account were too precise for me to believe that it was the work of some kind of fraudster. And this is no insult to her because this is a woman I was ready to love in any form. But most of these people tend to catfish with younger women because that's what will get them the most traction. I wanted to be entirely sure, so at the end of the day, I just grabbed her phone when I had the tiniest window, scrolled through the apps, and somewhat hidden away, I saw Tinder. That was all I needed to be sure that she wasn't worth my time. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, and I did my due diligence just so that I wouldn't end up doing something that I couldn't take back. But now that I know the truth, I can definitely strike without a care in the world. I didn't deserve any of this, but she will deserve whatever I chose to do. Edit. I'm glad most people agree with me that revenge is necessary. However, there are a shocking number of people telling me that I should be the bigger person and deciding to hit back at her is petty. It doesn't matter whether or not you believe in karma, but I believe that people who do wrong things, especially the kind of wrong things that hurt other people, should be punished. You can tell me to leave it to the universe, but I don't believe in that. Too many dictators and despots have gone on to live perfectly happy lives for me to believe that the universe will always pay people their due. I'll do it myself, and if you're one of the righteous people shaking your head at me, then stop reading. It's not particularly hard. Update 1. This is going to be a quick update to help you all understand my intended plan of action. If I decide to suddenly confront Jennifer and tell her that I know what she's been up to, that's enough to surprise her. However, I want to surprise her in a way that's a lot more significant than that. I want to make sure that she doesn't see it coming, and I want to catch her in the act as well. I've spoken to Ricky, and here's the plan. He's going to help me out with creating a fake account on Tinder. The objective is to match with Jennifer. Since his account naturally came across hers, my fake account will be very close to his, with the picture being the major difference. I'll either find someone online who is handsome enough and catfishes them, or just get AI to generate someone who looks handsome enough to grab her attention. If she takes the bait and I'm able to match, then all I need to do from that point is to converse with her and charm her, and then set up a date. Then, all I need to do is show up, put her on the spot in the worst possible way, and leave her with the knowledge that our marriage is over. At this point, it seems like the execution is going to be very basic, and hopefully that will be the case. I'm starting to tune my mind for life without her. I know that it has started reflecting on how I deal with her, but I can't help it. If she can put the pieces together and figure out what's wrong with me, then good for her, but I'm not going to let her in on anything until it is time to end things. Update 2. I'll start by saying that I'm not divorced yet, but I will say that the fun part has happened, and that's probably what matters the most when it comes to updates like these ones. I met up with Ricky after work one day, and we spent that time putting together a fake Tinder profile for me. I've never used dating apps before, but the profile looked very convincing to me. I don't think that anything would indicate that there was something to be suspicious of. We set it up on my phone so that I could swipe through the people until I got Jennifer. She was the only one that I was meant to try and match with. Everyone else was the chef. It wasn't that hard to get away with her long enough for a few swipes here and there, and it didn't even take me a long time to actually match with her, because I had set my distance preferences to the smallest possible, which meant that there really weren't that many people for me to go through. I remember my heart pounding when I swiped to the next person and saw her staring at me. When I swiped right on her, I didn't have a match yet, so I had to wait. I remember hoping that there was some chance that she wouldn't be active on Tinder anymore, that I'd be able to find out it had been an emotional blip on the radar and she had deleted the app from her phone. If that was the case, it was still a problem, but at least in that case, it seemed like something I could forgive. Of course, that was wishing for too much, because within 24 hours, I got a notification that she had matched. I shook my head at that. I started to watch her a lot more than usual, especially when I would send messages from the fake Phil account. Ricky was helping me out by giving me things to send her in the early days. I was impressed at how much skill he seemed to have when it came to the right things to say to women, because she fell for almost every line that he suggested to me. I even saw her smiling to herself on a few of them. Just for craps and giggles, on one of these occasions, I asked her what was so funny, but she just lied that her friend had made a silly joke. Eventually, I had spoken to her enough as Phil that I was able to ask if she wanted to meet up. She said that she'd need to check her schedule, but she had no issue with that. It was funny watching it all unfold, her telling me that she wanted to go and hang out with her girlfriends on Saturday night and that she'd be back home late. I acted unbothered and told her that was fine. I saw as the messages came in from her on Tinder, telling Phil that she would be available on Saturday. I chose our favorite restaurant as a location, and despite how much I was starting to resent her, I was amused when she said, "I love that place." I made sure Phil told her the same thing. The day came and I waited for her to leave the house. When I knew she was going to be at the restaurant, I dressed all nice and drove over. I knew exactly where she was going to be sitting. Thinking about it, I'm surprised that she even agreed to go to the restaurant where so many people knew her. Maybe she just didn't think about it that well. I strolled in, walked straight towards the table, and sat down. She was staring at her phone, so she only noticed me as soon as I sat down in front of her. "I'm sorry I'm late," was the first thing that came out of my mouth. The situation was so tricky for her to navigate that she looked like her brain had frozen. I could tell her that she was searching for what to say, but she couldn't find it. "What are you doing here?" was what she managed to get out. I told her that I was here to have dinner with her because what else would I be doing there? Then I acted a little confused and asked her that what she was doing there if she was surprised to see me. She couldn't say anything for the first several minutes, and then she claimed that she was there to meet her girls. I pointed out that she was sitting at a table for two, but she deflected by saying that she was waiting for a table to free up. I looked around and there were plenty of larger tables. I didn't even bother challenging her on that because she could see that I knew that was BS. Her hands were trembling at that point. She tried to interlock her fingers tightly to stop them from shaking, but it didn't work. I asked when she expected her friends to come, and she could only mumble that she didn't know. I nodded and called for a waiter. I ordered a drink and an appetizer. I asked her if she wanted anything, but the obvious answer was no. Once the appetizer and drink got there, I started to eat. I asked her when Phil was going to arrive, and I saw her eyes widen. She asked who Phil was, and I just shook my head. She couldn't even say it without her voice quivering. I don't know where it came from, but the first thing out of my mouth was a very audible, "F you." I meant it entirely. People in the restaurant turned, but I hadn't started the scene I wanted to make yet. I told her that she was a piece of crap. I had done way too much for me to find that she was on Tinder despite us supposedly being happily married. For me to find out from a friend was humiliating. I watched her lie to me that she was going to hang out with friends while she was truly going to meet another man despite us being married. At that point, I had gotten people to turn and look. One of the waiters came up to me. It was one of the people who knew me. He tried to get me to calm down, but I told him very respectfully not to interfere because I was going to be out of there by myself in a few minutes. He backed off. I asked her what she had to say about her actions, but she just stared at me, her eyes brimming with tears. I shook my head at her. I texted someone on my phone, and about a minute later, someone walked in, handed her the envelope with the divorce papers, and walked out. I made sure that happened in front of the audience that was paying full attention. I told her that she had one chance to come and pack all of her things out of her house, and if she didn't do that within the week, I was going to burn it all. Then I turned around and started to walk out. She shouted, "Babe, please," as I was leaving. I was even more annoyed that she waited until I was leaving before she found it in her to try and plead. It's not like that would have changed anything, but still. She came with a bunch of friends to pack her things out of the house 3 days later. Since then, I haven't seen her, but she sent me paragraphs and paragraphs apologizing and telling me how much of a mistake she made. She still thinks there's a chance for us, which I find amusing since she should know that things are done for good. I'm just waiting for her to know that there's no hope, but it might take the court finally splitting us before she gets it into her head. Update 3. I'm back for one last update, and I'm happy to tell everyone who cares that I'm finally done with Jennifer. It took a lot, but we're finally here. The divorce was uncomplicated. It didn't go my way as much as I would have loved. I didn't expect it to, though. The courts need to start punishing infidelity, but for some reason they don't. She got a healthy payout and an equally healthy alimony. I'm keeping the house, though, and I'm fine with that much. After the divorce, she said that she had something to tell me. I don't know why, but I decided to hear her out. I thought she wanted to beg, but that wasn't it. She told me that someone had taken a video of her in the restaurant and that she was humiliated. I asked why she was telling me, but she didn't have a good answer. She ended up mumbling that I had caused it. I laughed and I got loud. I told her that she had caused it by being a cheater of a wife. It was her actions that had led to that humiliation. It wasn't me. She said, "That's not fair," and I laughed in her face and then walked off. As I did, I told her that she was just going to have to live with the humiliation living online forever. There are worse fates in the world. I'm done with her for good now. She'll get her alimony payments, but that's all she can expect from me. The moment the payment term is over, I'll cut her out of my life for good. What she did? Absolutely foul. No soft language, no people make mistakes, nonsense. She didn't trip and fall into a dating app. She made a profile, matched, flirted, planned to meet up, and that's effort, and honestly, thank God for Ricky. That guy saved you from wasting even more years on someone who was already halfway out the door. Now about what you did. Yeah, it was ruthless, but I get it. You didn't scream and throw things. You didn't beg. You didn't sit there pretending it wasn't happening. You lined it up, caught her dead to rights, and ended it in a way where she couldn't gaslight you or wiggle out of it. There's something to be said for that. You took control back when she'd already disrespected you. Have you ever found your spouse on a dating app? Share your stories with us below.